Welcome to the 5:30 p.m. July 23rd, 2024 Presentations City Council meeting. We do have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. Out there, best I can do. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? And the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. City Clerk, would you please read the rules to speak?
Yes, sir. This is a city council meeting to hear special recognitions and presentations. Council will not take any formal action on the items. All individuals wishing to speak may do so under petitions and requests. No sign-up card is required. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak. All sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to City Council should be placed in the box on the table.
Thank you very much. City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. We are on agenda item number 4A, which is the employees of the month for June 2024 and July 2024. And I'd like to recognize Chuck first, Farina from the Public Works Department, and I think, Josh, you're going to do the presentation. And if you don't know who Chuck is, you haven't had your windows down in Titusville when he's out doing his street work. Come on up, Chuck.
Let's see. So I had the pleasure of meeting Chuck recently. Around April, the police department started a community service unit, and we started reaching out to businesses and citizens to see what we can do. And we were getting a lot of complaints about locations in the city, pockets of crime, and what we found were a lot of camps and abandoned camps, trash being discarded, and what was happening, it was directly lowering the quality of life for our citizens. So while we got people out of the way, moved along, that was just a stamp on a problem where someone else would come back and set up. There was vegetation that was starting to come in the roadway where people were setting up places they weren't supposed to be, and just beds of dump sites, trash sites, and abandoned property. So we reached out to Public Works, and I got in touch with Chuck, who's a supervisor of the beautification team, and they came out on several occasions, and not all heroes wear capes. So these guys, Chuck would come out, he would do site assessments for us, and completely blew me away. Look, I've served 4 years in the Army, 10 years at the police department, and this is some of the best leadership I've ever seen. His team clearly respects him, and it was mutual. He clearly respected his team. They worked efficiently, and even while they were picking up trash and cleaning up, they were all smiles the whole time, and just truly blew me away. So for that and many other reasons, nominated Chuck, and I'm very proud that he is our city employee of the month.
And I'd also like to add, we've gotten several comments about the landscaping in the downtown area. And Chuck is the man who has put the landscaping together. And I agree. I think it looks better than it ever has, Chuck. So thank you very much for all that you do for the city.
Make sure I get it right. Thank you, brother. The landscaping looks amazing. Here, you hold on to that. I'm sure they're going to do a picture here somewhere. You got to do this. Get that, but I didn't see this. Let me help you. Oh, you want to do this? Okay. Don't have to give me. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And next, from the Public Works Field Operations Department, we'd like to recognize Eric Waters, Tom Perez, Jeremy Lorraine, Jeff Harvey, and Darren Brazilia. I didn't say that right. And Mr. Wayner, I think you're going to come up and do the presentation for us.
Good evening. So this one's a little special to us because this actually came from a citizen. And a lot of times I know you're always hearing the opposite side of things, of what they were doing wrong or what they weren't doing. But in this case, we have a citizen at 1140 Linda Avenue. She was experiencing some sewer problems for about a month. She was going back and forth with a plumber. And unfortunately, her sewer was draining very slowly. And called our guys. They went out there a few times, was trying to work with the plumber, help her out, see what they could do. And unfortunately, the plumbing outfit she had just didn't have the right equipment and wasn't able to do anything. And their last attempt of trying to do something, they actually ended up breaking her line and sealing it off to where dirt collapsed and plugged her off so she couldn't use any facilities. So these fine gentlemen here, there's one missing. Tom Perez isn't with us today. He's at work, actually. But these 5 guys actually got in touch with myself and our wastewater supervisor and said, look, we think we can do some things. We think we can go out there and try to help her out to get her at least flowing. Well, they did a little more than that. They went above and beyond and ended up replacing the line from the street back to the property line and even part of her line to get her in. And they did this work on a Friday and on a Saturday. So they kind of took the ball and ran with it. She was struggling for, like I said, it was almost a period of 2 months at the end that she started having sore problems. And it was just unfortunate for her. And she spent a lot of money for plumbing outfits. And our guys came in and saved the day. So just want to recognize them. And like I said, this one came specifically from her, and she asked that they be recognized for it.
And I think we've got some shirts. Come on up.
So here, somebody hold that in the middle, turn around, we're gonna do a picture here. That's the main thing. And thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And Mayor, Sheena said when she gives the shirt, she'd like to give a quick presentation if she could.
All right, sir, thank you.
On to Agenda 4B, this is the Police Department Spotlight. As council may recall, we begin this department spotlights in January and then run them through the budget cycle. So the Police Department video presentation will be presented, and Chief Lau has a quick lead in. And just so the city's aware, there are other police officers on duty other than
I will tell you, now's the time to speed because I believe our whole traffic unit is here.
You speed anyway.
So we started these department spotlights, what is it now, 5 or 6 years ago? And it's just a great opportunity to, and instead of doing the same information, we try to pick something that's relevant at that time. And I want to remind, last year we talked about technology, how technology is really just taking over in our space. But before we start with that, we currently have 103 sworn officers budgeted. We don't have them all hired at this point due to attrition. And but right now we're at 103. The city manager has sat down with our team, and we are putting 3 new police positions on each and every year till we hit the 120 mark. And that's going to put us a tad above the average of our cities our size. So recently, HR runs a program with interns that come through. Most of them are high school in the police department due to statutory requirements. Ours are actually college-aged interns, and they did some information that they presented. So before we get into the actual presentation, we thought it was important to see the demographics. If I could get the clicker to work. Oh, no, I think they caught me in the back. Thank you. So this is something that I am so proud of our professional standards area and our recruiters, because what you're seeing here is the demographics by race in the city of Titusville, and then the demographics of the Titusville Police Department. And what you're seeing is it matches. I mean, we're literally hundredths of a percent apart. Now, without throwing any of our peer cities under the bus, this is not the norm in most places. And actually, the city manager was at this presentation with the interns, and we kind of had a meeting after that. And we've come to the conclusion, this is a culture thing. Our culture in our organization right now is healthy for all people to thrive and to flourish. So it's something that, again, our folks every day, day in and day out, their main is hiring and retaining, and coming up with different plans on how we do that, to include meeting on a Sunday because someone's schedule can't meet during the week. We've even convened and had an oral board in Seminole County where they were on a lunch break so that they didn't have to be docked the time. So our recruiters are going over and above, and I just, we thought it was good to share that. The next thing, next slide, please. There we go. Education, and this is something that is really near and dear to all our hearts. So if you look at this chart, over 50% of our sworn staff have college degree of some sort, whether it's a bachelor's, master's, or an associate's. But 27% of our sworn officers currently have a master's degree. And we probably have another 8 to 10 that are in the program right now going through it. So this is something that will always just keep growing and growing and growing. Once again, without putting anybody down, because that's not the point of this. It's to promote what our organization and the men and women are doing, is they really understand the need for higher education, and we're doing it. So the days of law enforcement being a blue-collar job, it's just not that way anymore. It really isn't. So once again, just an opportunity for us to dote on our folks. Technology update. Last year during the update, during our department spotlight, we spoke about one of the technologies was 911 Prepared Live. And it's an opportunity to take a cell phone. Someone calls into our 911 center and says, there's a fight, there's a shooting, there's a whatever the incident. We can text them a link with their permission. They hit the link, they hold up their cell phone, and now we're getting live video of that scene into our 911 center. That has come very near and dear. We had an incident with a gun, and we were able to identify who had the gun and then seize that once we got there. I do want to play this. This is, to set this up, a family went hiking west of Fox Lake Park in the trails, and it started getting dark, and they couldn't find their way out. This is not our jurisdiction. This is actually the sheriff's office jurisdiction, but it was sent back to us because this technology. The technology that you're about to see here is about 1% of the departments in the state of Florida have this. Titusville is one of the cities that has it. So
911, what is the address of your emergency?
I don't have the address. I'm at Fox Lake Park.
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
This is the Brevard Sheriff's Office with a transfer. He's in the Fox Lake Heights off of Fox Lake Road, and he is lost. He's not knowing where to get out, but I do see his plot.
Okay, sir, are you there? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you walking or are you in a vehicle?
We're walking.
You're
And
walking?
we have 2 kids with us. Yes.
Okay.
We probably shouldn't have come in with them, but we didn't know it was going to be this long.
No, you're okay. And so you entered from Fox Lake Park?
Yes. We entered in near the launch, the ramp launch.
Okay.
But we followed the blue arrows for a long time, and then we followed the red arrows for a long time. Baby!
So
Stay where you are.
what you saw, they go in with their 2 young kids. They were very scared. We were able to see the plot of the 911, and then with the Prepared Live, our dispatcher was able to walk them out because of what they saw. And so that technology got them to their car in less than 5 minutes. So now granted, it's not the Appalachian Trail, it's Fox Lake Park. We understand, but the bottom line is this mother and father were very nervous with their young kids. And I cannot even begin to tell you how proud I am. This is something that our 911 center came up with on their own. They pitched the idea, of course, go for it. The issue, the cost of this, it cost the city nothing. This is a free service by the vendor. So just thought it was appropriate for this sit down to see an update on something that was highlighted last year. We have Lieutenant Deloach oversees our traffic unit. What we chose this year was to talk about traffic. That's a big buzz thing right now, and accidents and the strategies that Lieutenant Deloach and the traffic unit are doing are amazing. So we have a video we would like to play for you, and then Chris said he would be more than happy to answer all of your questions after the video.
Hi, my name is John Lau, and it is an honor and privilege to serve as your police chief here in the city of Titusville. If anyone has driven around our city in the past couple of years, it's hard not to notice all of the new housing developments and businesses going up. With that being understood, we also have an increase in both the volume of traffic as well as traffic crashes. The video you are about to see highlights just a few of the strategies we have developed to address the rise in traffic-related incidents. Our team has utilized statistical data, technology, and partnerships to make this the safest city possible.
The city of Titusville is thriving today because of increased residency, continuous business growth, and the impact from space tourism due to unparalleled launch viewing opportunities along our shoreline. This continuous growth has also meant a significant increase in motor vehicle traffic. So, in a focused effort to maintain safe roadways and increase enforcement visibility, the Titusville Police Department increased the staffing of its traffic unit, doubling its size, and dedicated their duties full-time to 3 main points: enforcing traffic laws, educating motorists, and citing non-compliant motorists through traffic stops with either a verbal or written warning or a written citation. These efforts have already netted impressive results over last year. In a side-by-side analysis comparing traffic statistics for the period of January through May 2023 to those of January through May of 2024, significant gains in 5 key traffic safety metrics have been achieved. The overall number of traffic crashes did not increase despite the increase in motor vehicle traffic. The number of traffic crashes with injuries decreased by 16%. Driving under the influence, DUI arrests, increased by 100%. The number of traffic stops increased by 119%, going from 2,522 to 5,527, and traffic-related fatalities have decreased by 50% since 2021. In an effort to reduce the number of traffic crashes throughout the city, the Traffic Enforcement Unit has identified 5 high-risk intersections: Cheney Highway and US 1, Country Club Drive and US 1, Garden Street and US 1, Garden Street and Hopkins Avenue, and Garden Street and Park Avenue. The unit continues to apply proactive strategies of focused enforcement as an effort to reduce crashes in those hotspots. Additional strategies include an adaptable, proactive daytime and nighttime staffing schedule, which can be adjusted to provide the highest visibility and enforcement presence, especially during high-volume events, such as space launches and holidays. Part of the focused effort on traffic safety has been the acquisition of a new fleet of traffic vehicles, equipped with cutting-edge technology, which provides tools and resources for efficiency, accuracy, and safety. One new feature making traffic stops and road hazard scenes much safer is the combination of a microprocessor and GPS unit in our patrol vehicles' emergency lights. The system synchronizes the flashing blue lights with those of other units at the scene, slowing the flash pattern, and dimming the brightness when the vehicle becomes stationary to keep from distracting passing motorists. Studies have shown that flashing or strobing emergency lights often causes human vision to misjudge the distance of the hazard, whereas lights that slowly fade or remain steady are considerably less distracting and reduce the chance of driver error. The vehicles also feature an advanced in-car video system incorporating Axion Fleet 3 technology, which synchronizes with the officer's body cameras, license plate identification systems, and surveillance cameras to provide a clearer picture of enforcement scenarios. Public outreach is a high priority for the traffic unit. Increased posts to social media of weekly traffic enforcement advisories and alerts provide motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians with important safety and traffic law information. Additionally, the traffic unit participates in national and state traffic safety campaigns such as Southern Slowdown and Click It or Ticket, which has resulted in nearly 1,000 traffic stops and over 600 warnings and/or citations during the 2-week time frame of those campaigns. Educational outreach is also a top priority, so the traffic unit partners with local schools, going into classrooms to speak about roadway safety, distracted driving, and the dangers of impaired driving. They even conduct demonstrations where students don impairment goggles, allowing them to experience the effects of alcohol and drug use on their vision. Additionally, the unit works alongside the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization to set goals for traffic safety improvement programs, as well as maintain the goal of Vision Zero, attaining zero serious traffic crash injuries or deaths along our city roadways.
Our department is fully committed to ensuring the safety of motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians who travel along our increasingly busy roadways. Because of this commitment, we will continue to utilize a proactive approach by deploying our resources where they are most needed. Through high visibility, enforcement action, and safety education, we will continue to make our roadways as safe as possible.
Drive safe, Titusville.
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 Impressive.
Yeah.
All right, since you guys aren't talking, I guess it's our turn.
Yeah, any questions?
Well, first thing I would say is how impressive it is, and certainly you've been, doing presentations, like you said, about 5 years. I don't think I even have to suggest this. I am sure you're taking this presentation out in the community to other places, Rotary clubs, wherever it may be. This is just really impressive. The metrics that you've come up with, the 911 technology, because that certainly felt like a Appalachian Trail to those folks at that time. So with that, Member Cole.
John, when you showed the slide of the number of traffic stops versus the number of accidents and fatalities, there was a direct relationship between the two. I'm thinking that needs to be emphasized because you're not doing traffic stops just to be doing traffic stops. The traffic stops that your guys do is a direct reflection on the number of accidents we have and the number of fatalities we have. So I'm saying thank you.
Yes.
But I think when you do that, I don't know how you take the slide and put more emphasis on it, but you gave the statistics as you went through, but it just popped out at me as that's a really good thing.
And it's not just the number of, it's where the offense is. You could find what we used to call in the olden days a watering hole where people roll through a stop sign, but what good is that doing? But if you're writing red light violations in one of those 5 high volume frequency for accidents, you're saving a life by doing that. And so there is a direct correlation. Mm-hmm. There's also a direct correlation. The higher the traffic stops, the less the property crime. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. And the other thing was, I've been sitting up here for almost 2 years now, and I look at employees of the month, and I'm so proud to be a part of an organization that has so many true professionals in every portion of the city. And, especially proud of those that get the awards of Employee of the Month. And it's just great. It's heartwarming to know that we're doing this. And these are things that we do on a daily basis that nobody knows we're doing. And as the gentleman from Public Works stated, normally we don't hear good things. We always hear something that we aren't doing. So it's really good to know that we know what you are doing out there, and thank you.
Member Nelson.
So I gotta say, the 911 technology is cool. That was a good acquisition. The lights on the cars, having them sync, that was cool. So a question though, how many guys are in the traffic unit? Guys or ladies?
I'd like to, I'm over the traffic unit. I give them direction, but I give them direct credit for all the statistics, even though there's other members in the department that are out there. They're the driving force
Right.
behind our statistics that you see up there. And all four of my traffic officers are here tonight, if I could at least recognize them for their hard
Please.
work. We have, if you just stand up for one, raise your hand. Tyrone Logan. Matthew Rasmussen. Arian Crowder and Luke Dummer.
And the next question is, who is doing your recruiting? Because those numbers were impressive.
So it all started with Lieutenant Joyner, and right now Major Wright is back there, but we have Sergeant Barber.
Okay.
Sergeant Heineman, also Sergeant Jennings, who's actually taking a acting lieutenant position right now. But again, they're just going way over and above, doing things outside the proverbial box so that we can attract. It's our culture. It's who Titusville is. It's
Yeah.
what we do. Not everyone will fit in that. Some people actually, because we've often said a lot of former Marines don't necessarily do well with our structure because we'll laugh, we joke, we take our job seriously, but not ourselves is how we advertise us, you know? So sometimes a very paramilitary, they might view that as disrespectful. It's just a good culture that we have to let each and everyone flourish in whatever way that they can.
And I would add, as
Appreciate
I'm watching that, I'm sorry, as I was watching the technology, and certainly I was very impressed with the technology and the radars and it all comes down to, and you've said it a bunch of times, so I'm not being profound here, it comes down to your team. It comes down to the people that make this work. It comes down to the relationships. And then it goes from team to family. And I think that Titusville Police Department is an illustration of both those. Every time we give a Employee of the Month, and as a Titusville police officer, I can't help but say, it always comes down to the relationships. And that again comes from the top down, and I appreciate all of you and very excited to have been a part of that. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
I want to say
Member
one
Nelson, go
other
ahead.
thing. I worked with TPD for 35 years. When John was very young, I was very young. But Titusville was always one of my favorite departments to work with. 35 years as prosecutor. At one point, scary as it seems, I had the key to your building. But Titusville was always one of the best in the county. And like John, I won't throw anybody else under the bus, but there were a lot of times when I thought, I wish the other departments would do like Titusville. So it's been a good run.
Thank you.
Now, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to report a mistake. I was pulling out of Walgreens one night, and one of your officers pulled up and flashed me and stopped me. And he asked me, where was I coming from? I guess he had gotten a report that someone was driving erratically along the road. But it scared me, because I said, what have I done, or what have I got caught doing? But the officer that stopped me was so nice when it found out that I wasn't the person that, I couldn't give him more Bravo Zulus because he stopped me, asked me a question, and he apologized and went on. And that officer is in this room tonight. And I want to compliment him
Good thing you did
on
that.
the job well done.
Well, sir, you just scared me.
I know.
Member Stokel.
Does that person want to stand up? No, just kidding. No, I'll keep my comments brief. One, it was great to see a lot of you guys that are in this room in that video with your acting skills. That was impressive. One of the things I always appreciate about the presentation you guys do is there's always something new that we learn, I think, that you guys are implementing or doing. And I think it was said in the video, proactive, it is a word that I would use to define our department. And then the last thing, I think sometimes, and this is not to speak of our council, but just out in general, when I'm in different meetings and see different presentations, I think it's easy to have a nice presentation, but that's not really going on behind the scenes. But I can tell you the culture that has been created in the department transcends beyond this room. And I hear it from the community often, and I'm sure the others do as well. And so you can't fake that. And so it's nice to go out in the community and stand behind and stand proud of our department. And nobody can say anything because it's out there. It is what it is, and it's hard to deny the truth. So I just really appreciate everything that you guys do, and it makes me very proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else? Again, just thank you so very much. Team, the family, and relationships. You guys are all about that. And even the story that Vice Mayor just told, I'm sitting there thinking it's relationships. Even the short order relationship. That's what works, and I appreciate that. Thank all of you guys very much for being here. Thank you for what you do. And again, thank you for being our security and putting your lives on the line every day. Thank you so much. Thank you. City Manager.
On to item 4C, which is the Martin Luther King Jr. Parade presentation. The city holds a MLK Jr. Parade each year in January to commemorate and celebrate the civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. Mr. Delvin Smith, representing the MLK Parade organizers, will provide an update on the planning efforts for the upcoming 2025 event. Sir?
Hello, Delvin, how are you?
Good evening, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. My name is Delvin Smith. I am 44 years old. I've been in this city now for about over 24 years now. I started out here as a barber, cutting hair, and I was in a facility where I noticed there was a lot of young men getting locked up. One of the things that I decided to do in this city is give our kids something that helped them, give them an alternative from being on the streets or selling drugs or anything that was of a negative impact. So I started Boys to Men with Purpose mentor program in Titusville. You can look it up. It's at b2mpurpose.com. You can see all the work that we've been doing in this city. Some of the things that we train them in is electrical, carpentry, auto mechanics, tile floors. We trying to introduce food, culinary classes, and financial development. One of the things that I've always tried to do is change the narrative of how our young people think. And one of those things was dealing with the police. They had a bad feeling about police. So one of the things I did is invite Chief Lau and his department over to our facility where he interacted with the kids, played football with them, and just be able to sit down and eat with them to change the narrative. We've also gone into the community for young mothers, because I have a heart for young mothers, and we've donated a car to a mother in our community on Christmas. She didn't know. She wrote in a letter. She didn't know she was going to be picked. And our young kids is the one that presented the car to the mother, also with gifts for the kids as well. So I just want to be able to show our kids that what they do counts. And then when they do it, they can see the reaction and they can feel good about themselves and what they're doing in the community, where they're no longer tearing down their community, but they're building up their community. But today I'm here on behalf of our MLK program that I took over about 2 years ago. So to shed light on the significance of the MLK Parade and emphasize on the importance of embracing MLK Parade and festival as a part of our city's fabric. It is not just one-time event, but a significant occasion that reflects who we are as a city and a community. Our MLK Parade is, we're all a part, it has to be all a part of our city. It's celebrating unity, it's equality and justice for all, the principles that Dr. Martin Luther King stood for. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to fighting for civil rights, not only for African Americans, but for all marginalized communities. His dream was not limited to the advancement of one race, but rather his envision of a society where people of all backgrounds could live harmoniously. This parade and festival serves as a powerful reminder of the progress we have made and the work that we still have ahead of us. It is a platform that honors Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy, and it highlights the ongoing struggles for equality and justice for our society. This year will be bigger and greater. The renowned Bethune-Cookman Wildcats Marching Band is our headliner, culminating with the Battle of the Bands featuring Jones High School, the Heritage High School, and hopefully Titusville, Astronaut, and Space Coast High School bands. This parade brings together people from all walks of life, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or background. It is an opportunity for individuals to come together, learn from each other, and work towards a more inclusive and equitable society. If possible, any financial support you can provide would greatly be appreciated. It gives us an opportunity as the city to demonstrate our commitment to honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. We need funding, both public and private. We are representing our wonderful city. We already have, we need the funding. The funding is required for logistics, permits, security, and other necessary expenses to ensure that this event is a total success. Chief Lau and the Sheriff Wayne Ivey are doing everything they can to waive fees and to make this event successful. The City Labor Council is also on board, as well as Parish Medical Hospital, who has been one of our main sponsors for the last 2 years since we've started. However, it is not just about financial support. We must also invest in marketing and media efforts to raise awareness about the parade and its significance. By doing so, we can reach a larger audience and encourage more people to participate and engage in this event. The MLK Parade should become a signature event for our community. It should be a time where our city comes together, celebrating diversity and reaffirming our commitment to equality and justice. This is a chance for us to stand in solidarity with the Black community and all those who have experienced discrimination and injustice. Our city and council have always been involved in helping to promote change, peace, and the de-escalation of violence. To unite this city as one and to help tear down barriers of discrimination. As they say, it starts from the top and trickles down. So I ask the question, how would you like to lead? We have a team, we have a committee. We're called the Dream Team. A couple of our members are here tonight. Our charter is to help change the narrative, to start building a future and to stop holding on to the past. But it only happens if we do this together. Change happens when we learn how to work together. So let us work together to make MLK Parade a true reflection on our city's values and a testament to its collective pursuit to equality and justice. So let us remember that the MLK Parade is a festival. It is not just about the Black community. It is also a symbol of unity, a call to action, and a reminder the struggles of equality and justice belongs to us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done. And I'll just say that I've been to every Martin Luther King Day parade since they started it back when Pastor Dames and the guys were heading it up. I was actually the sponsor of the THS step team, believe it or not, stomp, step, however they want to call it. I didn't do any of it. I just was the leader. But that being said, everything you said there, and very passionate, is so true. And every time I'm a part of the parade and at the after events, et cetera, I feel better about us as people. I feel better about us as citizens of Titusville. I just feel better about myself. It's one of those events that just carries you. You don't have to carry it. Now, that being said, obviously we need some support. So that being said, Council, anything we want to add to that? City Manager, is there anything you want to add, or if anybody wants to add concerning our part in it, or is this something we'll discuss as we go?
As the presenter said, we do in-kind police support for the event, and that we waive fees for that.
Okay. But that being said, I can't say enough about how you presented it. And it just took me back to, we used to get the band from Baltimore all the time. And you bring in the Bethune-Cookman, holy cow, and Heritage and Jones, and certainly hope some local bands get involved. But the whole word I get out of it, and you said this near the end, is, there's a feeling of unity walking on in the parade, before the parade, after the parade. It's definitely a we thing, not a me thing. Yes. So I thank you so much for being here. And
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say something.
yes.
Yeah, I would just, I know, listening to Delvin, all of this can't take place in a vacuum, and it all takes money. So if anyone listening would like to donate, please contact Delvin, because it's upwards of about, $35,000 to do this event, and we need help. Okay, so if you're willing to donate, we are willing to receive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara. I see you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right, we move on to petitions and requests. Yes, sir?
No, sir, got one more item, 4D, which is the comprehensive plan amendment discussion. Mr. Parrish will provide City Council the comprehensive plan amendment number 1-2024, which is the transportation, housing element, and relating to the downtown and gateway corridors. Mr. Parrish.
Thank you.
Mayor and Council, I'm just going to go through these slides really quick. This is really purpose of this is just to kind of remind you of what's coming to you.
Thank you.
In your next few meetings.
Sorry, I almost skipped you.
So I did include the presentation in your packet. I'm not going to go through each slide. I'm just going to highlight the main ones just to remind you about what's coming before you. Possibly in August, you'll see a first reading and a second reading for adoption of the amendments that I'm going to highlight here tonight. So if you remember, we proposed to you back earlier this year, and you approved transmittal of this amendment to the state for review. Changes to the city's comprehensive plan, primarily related to the future land use element, transportation element, and the housing element. And this is primarily focused on the downtown and gateway corridors. If you remember that concept, we came up with something where we would try to encourage redevelopment along our commercial corridors. So the first item I just want to show you is that we're proposing a citywide element. And if you remember, the comprehensive plan is made up of several chapters. This is a brand new chapter. It'll kind of introduce the comprehensive plan, and it will include a new goal that is citywide related, primarily related or responding to the vision that was approved by the city several years ago through the Titusville Tomorrow project, and it will include some new objectives and policies. Some of the highlights of that element will include kind of highlighting the city's place within the region in the Space Coast, its place in the economic area regionally. Emphasizes creating a high quality of life and quality of life for residents, place-based design reflecting small-town character, and it will include an objective related to creating a variety of businesses and employment opportunities, primarily focused on high technology. The future land use element portion of this, it'll include some changes to the overall goal, and there's only one goal inside that entire element. That'll be revised a little bit to kind of emphasize and support some of the changes that are being proposed for the downtown and the new concept gateway quarters policies. So the amendment will address some of the following objectives related to character and land use districts, redevelopment and adaptive reuse of existing buildings, concurrency, historic preservation, natural resources. It'll touch on inconsistent land use, urban sprawl, industrial land uses, and commercial land uses. So for the downtown, is objective 1.10 of the future land use element, and that entire objective and all the subsequent policies and strategies being completely restructured. And a lot more language will be added to it to kind of emphasize the placemaking vision statements that were adopted several years ago through the Titusville Tomorrow project. One of the main things that a few of the main things that you'll see here is some language related to walkable and bicycle-friendly and safe facilities in our public realms, and that means trying to accommodate pedestrian and bicyclists in a safe manner in our streets. More attractive green park spaces, generating more activity in the residential population to help existing and new businesses grow and thrive in the downtown, and reimagining downtown that can enrich the adjacent neighborhoods. And this is also kind of related to the area to the west of the downtown, which is going to be a separate amendment, and we'll bring that to you at a separate time. So what's going to be brought before you, again, is going to be about the downtown and the gateway quarters. It will not include the policies and amendments that we brought to you several months ago related to the neighborhood immediately to the west of downtown. Of that objective, underneath it, you'll see several policies and several strategies. Again, it's being completely restructured, including the main objective. I just want to include this image here to kind of highlight what was brought before you by the consultant at the time that these policies were being drafted. And this is the idea of encouraging different types of housing, duplexes, triplexes, quadruplexes, multifamily development types of homes, even inside the downtown. And some of the policies that are associated with this particular objective in the downtown would encourage that. One main concept that's going to be proposed to you is that residential density pool. If you remember, this has to do with calculating residential density based on the entire boundary of the downtown, specifically this area illustrated in the image to the right. So it's not, density would not be calculated based on a parcel by parcel basis, but on the entire area. And then a developer can take from that pool to put onto a piece of property, provided it meets all the design criteria and land development regulations of the code. In addition, they'll be able to, that tool will be able to be used by a developer, provided they provide some public enhancements. And those are kind of highlighted inside the comprehensive, in this amendment that will come before you in the next few meetings. So the next part of this amendment that's going to come before you is about the gateways, and that's the commercial corridors. And these are a new objective and new policies and new strategies related to fostering redevelopment and new development along with commercial corridors and infill development as well. The new objective and policies related to commercial corridors will work more or less of an overlay on top of the existing land use categories on those commercial corridors. And it calls for us to, if these policies are adopted, it will call for us to come up inside our code a zoning overlay as a tool to implement some of these policies. It will include something similar to the downtown, not a density pool, but an allowance for an increased density. This will primarily be located or usable on US 1, Garden Street, South Street, and Cheney Highway. This is just an example of a type of development that was illustrated by the consultant when this was initially presented to you, of a type of mixed-use development that could potentially happen along a commercial corridor. It's not, it's horizontal mixed use, so you have maybe townhomes mixed in with a commercial development on a redeveloped piece of property along Cheney, for example. The initial proposal was to allow for an increase of density along these commercial corridors of 50 units per acre. The staff is suggesting bringing that down to 40 units per acre. And that's what we'll propose in the amendment to you. Now, a developer will be able to utilize that density provided certain design enhancements are incorporated with that development. And we've kind of, I'll just highlight what they are here. Providing enhanced public realms, enhanced landscaping, sustainable building design, affordable housing. And those specifics will be illustrated in the code itself. So if these, again, if this objective, this new objective related to the gateway corridors, subsequent policies and strategies are amended or adopted with the amendment that were proposed to you, then we'll come back to you with code language that will actually address how those will be implemented. This is just another example of a mixed-use development that the Gateway Corridor objective and policies will encourage. Again, you can see commercial adjacent to residential type development on the same property if it was redeveloped. So we plan to bring this before you at your first reading of this ordinance, adoption ordinance, at your first meeting in August, and there'll be a final public hearing for adoption for your consideration at your second meeting in August. And we plan to bring this before the Planning and Zoning Commission at their August 21st meeting. So with that, I'll try to answer any questions you have.
Any questions, Member Nelson?
Brad, I thought about this long and hard, but especially like on the gateways. Kimberly Horn had the buildings, like a 5-story building on each side, wider sidewalk, which is nice. But I was in Vieira the other day, and I thought that I sort of felt like I was in a canyon. You know, I don't mind it in New York. I'm not sure I want it in Titusville. So as I was looking at it, I was like, you know, I think it would work if the area, the building closest to the road was short, and then it went up, sort of staggered, as opposed to having that I'm in a wind tunnel kind of feeling. And I apologize, because I should have said this a while back, but I couldn't figure out, you know, how to fix it, why I really didn't like it, other than I was always sort of like, not sure that's what we want. And to me, that makes more sense. So I don't know if this is a good time to bring that up, but I'm bringing it up.
Absolutely. We can look into that to
Okay.
see, and I'd like to see the examples you're talking about, and maybe we can see if we can make some adjustments to the policies.
I don't think I have an example.
Okay.
It's just sort of like in my head, I'm like building buildings.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, Brad, as you put this comprehensive plan together, what added stress is, if any, on the current infrastructure?
I'm sorry, what was the
As
question?
you put all this together, the plans, the dreams, have you incorporated what stress that new construction, putting housing and so forth in the downtown area, what added stress would that add to the current infrastructure?
So I believe you're referring to the density pool and the potential of having a lot of units on one piece of property.
Correct.
It would still have to meet concurrency requirements, still have to be able to be engineered, and still be able to be, those units would have to still fit in within the parameters of the code itself, the height, the bulk, setback requirements.
Right, but even in that, it is. And then maybe this is a question for Kevin. It's still going to add some new stresses to the infrastructure. I mean, into the all of the piping, that that sewage lines and so forth. It's going to add some added stress, and I wonder have that been figured into the equation as we go forward.
So the density allowed, so we're not proposing increasing the density in downtown. So and every project would have to be evaluated on whether it can be served with our infrastructure and whether we have the capacity to provide those services. So what we've done on a comprehensive plan level is look at the concurrency related to what's entitled. Now, even with the residential, if we don't adopt this ordinance and we continue to calculate density on a parcel by parcel basis, even with scenarios in and around the city, even though that there may be a vested right for maybe 15 or 20 units per acre on a piece of property, they still have to be able to engineer it. So that density is not a right if you can't do the engineering correctly, if it can't be served. So a property that, for example, that may have services nearby that can be connected to it to be able to only really serve maybe 5 units per acre, that's really going to be their limit. So what this amendment does, it doesn't really take away that evaluation with each project. But what it does, it allows the applicant the ability to consolidate residential uses and take them from pieces of property, for example, that have entitlements but can never be used. And this property is one of them. So a property that has a commercial or a public use on it right now has a residential entitlement. If that's collected in a pool, then a developer can potentially show, if they can demonstrate that they can put a larger number of residential units on a block, and it can be engineered. The idea in the downtown is you really want to try and create and encourage redevelopment and development in your urban core. And this is one of those tools to allow that. Because the idea is in the downtown, we have the capacity to be able to accommodate the residential density that we have currently vested in this area.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
Anybody else? I don't see any. Brad, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Nice review. Now petitions requests. Petitions and requests.
Tony Schiffolo, Tropic Street. I rushed up here because I want to speak about this very issue, which is coming in August. Be ready. Kimley Horn is not the friend of the people, although it is the friend of our staff. If you've been following this issue as I have, perhaps you have a few documents. I've been following it since the very beginning. I haven't noticed much change for all the community meetings that they've had and touted to you. This very presentation is excerpts from August 8th, 2023. And it's the exact same verbiage because I went through the thing that was in the slides there and the ones that we have from July of 23 and earlier. I just want you to be aware that, yeah, it sounds good and it looks great on the slides. They pull the beautiful things, and it would be great for our Park Avenue to look like Winter Park's Park Avenue. I love it. I lived there for a long time. I live here now. I don't want our Park Avenue here to look like Winter Park's Park Avenue. Thank you. I think it is going to be fine when the theater gets built, if it does. We have an arts entertainment district that way. I think you need to think in terms of the total picture and see where we're going, because when they bring you the West Titusville, Chapter 10, Article 9, or Article 9, Chapter 10, or anyway, I digress because I want to make just a few points. On page 13 of your packet, 27, it said, "A reimagined downtown can enrich the adjacent neighborhoods, e.g. West Titusville." When we do this, we better think in terms of what the young man who was here representing the ML King, because that's the neighborhood that that parade goes through a lot of times. And I don't see that it has a lot in common with downtown. Not at this point. We need to really work with the communities to pull them together so that there is a connection between West Titusville and downtown, other than the fact that there's a lot of empty property that developers can infill with their affordable housing. When this project comes to you with the code and everything, I hope that you are prepared to look at the details, at the things that they're taking out that are harmful to the citizens and the current residents, and giving incentives to the developers for nothing. Give them incentives to do real things for the developers, for the community and the residents that are there as they develop. And look at the strategies. The devil is in the details.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tony, appreciate it.
I'll be back.
Petitions or requests?
Stan Johnson, registered engineer. I've been here for over 50 years. There's something on the news going on that's very disturbing, distressing, is that there's been a director of Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle. She has resigned her position, which was certainly recommended by both parties. And she has been testifying before Congress and not giving answers. I feel like there's somewhat the same way, is that I'm giving you some questions and I'm not getting answers. Mr. Cole approached me today, said, "Well, what are you doing here?" Well, I'm here because of a project called SNJ Oaks. That project is, by my attorney, has taken it to the Supreme Court of the state of Florida. So there's been suing back and forth and so forth about SNJ Oaks. Big project, big important. So here's what you can see right here. That there's over 50 problems there. Problems are with the survey, with the drafting, and with the engineering. And the surveying problems are very severe. Like right now, you can go out there and you can look and you can see overhead electric. That's required to be shown on the survey. It's not on the survey. Still not on the survey. So I complained about this well over 2 years ago. And I had two officers, let's see, that's Mayor Diesel and Joe, Vice Mayor Joe. They went out with me separately, and I showed them monuments that disagreed with the monument by Mr. Snow, the surveyor, by over 2 feet. That 2 feet was showing an overlap of deed to the property to the east. That's a serious matter. I mean, I got all these monuments that you can see. And fact is that his monument there on the survey said it was supposed to be a 4x4 concrete monument. It's not there. So he's put a monument there, iron rod and cap, that's not shown on his survey. And yet the city is accepting the survey. Right now is Mr. Parrish, Mark Jones have discovered a serious error, 3-foot error, 3-foot width bust in the right-of-way of Elizabeth Avenue. Guess what? The city still approves this survey. How can they do that? Nobody answers my question. How can you possibly accept overhead electric, 3-foot bust in survey, can't find survey monuments? It's horrendous. It's horrible. And I don't understand what you're going to do. I would like somebody to give me an answer. Anybody can give me an answer. What in the world, how can the city approve a survey like this? Please answer.
Thank you, Stan.
Oh, okay. As you see, there's no answer.
Well,
Thank you.
I will say what I said last time, and as you know, this is in court, and it's kind of, you're disagreeing with the engineers of the developer, and I'm sure.
So are the monuments. So are the monuments.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And overhead electric, thank you.
Anybody else petitions requests? Wrong meeting? No?
Oh, I'm talking this one. My name is Connie Milton. I live in Wendover Farms.
But I also own a duplex that's on the corner of Sisson Road and Windy Lee. All of Windy Lee backs up to Timber Trace, which is a 3-story apartment complex. I owned my duplex before Timber Trace went in, and I was involved in coming to meetings and questioning about that particular development. Well, what I was told before it was being built, and it's over 300, about 300 and something units in there. It's 3 stories. It's not 4 stories. It's 3 stories. And I was told, oh, it'll be controlled. That's going to be controlled. The hard, nasty reality of living next to a big apartment complex like that is all hours of the day and night. There's horns honking, there's motorcycles revving up, there's truck mufflers pounding, there's boom boxes and vehicles. And see, the people that live there, they're milling around in the parking lot all hours of the day and night. A commercial building, it has closing hours. They're not open overnight. 99.9% of them. They're open between 8 a.m., maybe 9, 10 p.m. at night. There's nobody in the parking lot. There's no traffic. The other nasty thing is, and I'm sure every one of you have driven down Sisson Road time and time again, and you see garbage strewn on the road. Let me tell you what a lot of that is. The people in this apartment complex, they throw their garbage bag up on the top of their car because the dumpsters are somewhere else in the parking lot. They're gonna throw it in the dumpster on their way out. Well, they forget. When they slide out on Sisson Road, that garbage bag, which has diapers, nasty diapers, it's had needles in it, it's had all kinds of crap, and it's strewn onto Sisson Road. Cars go by, turning it up, and the wind comes along. I don't know how many times over the 15 years that I've owned my property that I've had to go out there with gloves on, a garbage bag, and pick up the trash on Sisson Road, on my property, that comes from everywhere in that apartment complex. Now, you don't see that on commercial property. Like there's a Lowe's or whatever, there's no big, huge garbage kitchen garbage thrown across the road. Just wanted to let you know that's the reality of living next to something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Petitions and requests at this first meeting. Just come up, you're going to talk, feel free. Yep. Name for an address, please.
Joseph Ray, R-A-Y, Gardendale. Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. I attended our last meeting on July 9th and heard some talk about lawsuits in the city. I heard a little tonight, too. I also traveled here then, last meeting, by bicycle, and when I exited the meeting, my tire had been flattened. Integrity is a word everyone knows. I know that lawyers and police take oaths involving integrity, and I'm sure you, Mr. Diesel, and the council have all taken oaths as well. In one of the union jobs I worked, we had a saying, do your job. This was directed at slackers who burdened other workers and did not take pride in their work. Once again, I'm here about the noise nuisance issue, where the truck owner has bragged that he is, quote, friends with the cops, unquote. Some people have told me that he has law enforcement family. I don't know that for sure. As you know, I am not a part of the Friends and Family Network. My neighbor and I have been directly disturbed by this early morning noise since February. Studies have verified that sleep deprivation is an attributing factor to cancers. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, updated July of 2024, a disturbance is, quote, the interruption of peace or order specifically an interruption of the quiet enjoyment of one's property. I have reason to believe that you are not enforcing your own laws that the city made up, not me, based on a comment a city employee made to me, which implied vindictiveness and retaliation. Here are just a few of your laws and related reasoning. This is a City Code 13.105. The operation of any vehicle in violation of any provision hereof which endangers the comfort, repose, health, and peace of residents in the area is declared to be a public nuisance, and the city is authorized to pursue any and all remedies therefore. Here's another nuisance neighbor law. This is a case entitled Wolford versus Thomas, and it happened about October 2nd, 2023. It states, quote, unreasonable, unwarrantable, or unlawful use by an individual or of his property so as to interfere with the rights of others is a violation.
And I appreciate that. Time's up. We got a long meeting coming up. I appreciate that.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? We will reconvene at 6:50. Dismissed? Nope. Adjourned. I will never get out of that. Dismissed.